Hi everyone, I'd like to welcome you to our presentation. My name is Dr. Mary Beth Green. I'm an Associate Professor of Instructional Technology at Texas A&M University, Kingsville. I'm here on behalf of myself and my colleague, Dr. Cynthia Galloway, who is a Professor of Biology at Texas A&M University, Kingsville. And we'd like to share with you our project on Biozabots, an investigation into using robotics to engage college students in an introductory biology course. We all know how important it is to increase the number of students who are completing STEM degrees. However, a lot of students struggle, and this can be attributed to a number of reasons. One is that we have a lot of students who are first-generation students. This means that neither of their parents have graduated from college, and they may even be the first sibling to attend college. And a lot of these students don't know all the ins and outs of getting what you need within the college environment. For example, they may not be aware of tutorials in the science subjects that they need help with, or they may be working during the times of those tutorials, or they may not even feel comfortable going to the professor's office to ask a question about the content that they are confused about. Secondly, a lot of the students coming to us are coming from small rural high schools that aren't able to provide much of the advanced science coursework. For example, a lot of our students have had Biology 1 and even Chemistry 1 and Physics 1, but in the larger high schools, these students are able to take courses like Chemistry 2 and Physics 2, which better prepare them for the rigors of college. Finally, a lot of students find themselves in large lecture forums, and they find these very unengaging. They find themselves a passive learner. They don't get much feedback on what they are learning. So my colleague and I decided to investigate, is there a significant difference in unit test grades between the control class and classes that used Ozobots to visualize complex processes in biology? Is there a significant difference between the class that used the Ozobots without reflection and the class that used the Ozobots with reflection? Is there a significant difference between male and female students using Ozobots to visualize complex processes in biology? This was a quasi-experimental post-test-only quantitative design. We used existing classes. We did not separate students into matched abilities, and we were only able to give them a post-test rather than a pre and a post-test so that we had some understanding of their prior knowledge. Our participants over 3 semesters included 168 students, 84 males, 84 females, 108 freshmen, 32 sophomores, 15 juniors, and 9 seniors. The context for this project was an introductory biology class in a small regional university. Typically, there were 50 plus students in each class, but it was a lecture format with breakout recitations, meaning that students met after the class session in smaller groups where they discussed topics with a graduate assistant. There were 3 conditions that we tested. The control condition, where there were no Ozobots and the class proceeded as normal. There was a non-reflective condition where we did use Ozobots, and researchers chatted with the students, walked about the room and chatted with the students as they programmed their robots and as they were watching the robots. And then the third condition was a reflective condition where Ozobots were used. The researchers still walked around the room and talked with the students about what they were seeing, but students completed a reflective question piece afterwards about what they saw. So what are Ozobots? Ozobots are little bitty robots. They weigh 17 grams, and they make sounds and they flash their lights. You can program them one of 2 ways. You can either use Ozoblockly, which is a programming language that is a drag and drop, which is commonly used with iPads or other tablets, or through tracks, which are lines that are drawn, and embedded into those tracks are color-coded sequences that tell the Ozobot what to do. In this particular project, we used the tracks. 3 Ozobot tracks were developed, one for metabolism, one for photosynthesis, and one for respiration. Blank code spaces were inserted in the tracks, and the students were taught how to complete the codes for those particular tracks. For example, here's the photosynthesis track, and as you can see, there are blank spaces in the track for the student to input the color code sequence for a particular action for the Ozobot. In this particular sequence, this is a high energy level in the photosynthesis process, so students were able to choose a high energy, fast-moving code here. But in this particular part of the sequence, there is less energy, and so students were programming their Ozobot to slow down. Students met in recitation classes, following lectures on the topics. The researchers introduced them to the coding and how to program them. We would walk them through the steps and how to program the robots and give them options as to which codes they could use. They could either do it with a felt tip pen, or we created stickers, which was a little bit faster for the students to just lay on top of the tracks. In the non-reflective condition, students programmed the robot, and the researchers walked around the room and chatted with the students about what they were seeing. In the reflective condition, students programmed the robot and completed a reflection sheet about what they observed. After the lectures and the 3 recitation sessions covering metabolism, photosynthesis, and respiration, students took their exam as usual. This is the second exam in the course. It had 50 multiple choice questions, and it covered metabolism, photosynthesis, and cellular respiration. In order to answer research question 1, were there differences among the conditions, we used the Kruskal-Wallis analysis of variance to determine statistical difference. A statistical difference was found among the groups, and so post hocs were conducted to test pairwise comparisons. The reflective condition was significantly different from the control and from the non-reflective condition, but no difference was found between the control and the non-reflective group. To answer research question 2, were there differences between males and females? A Kruskal-Wallis analysis of variance or independent measures was conducted with the reflective group to determine statistical difference. No statistical difference was found between the males and the females. So the results of this research demonstrate that the Ozobot robots were helpful in helping students visualize metabolism, photosynthesis, and cellular respiration, and was effective in improving student learning when combined with reflection. A lot of information in science is delivered through non-linguistic representations, and so it was important that our students were able to better visualize what they were seeing within those representations, such as the diagram for photosynthesis. The reason that reflection was so important is it gave them a chance to process what they were learning. And this is congruent with Fink's assertion that after students engage in active learning, that it should be followed with a time of reflection where they're able to think about what they are seeing. The unit test scores in the non-reflective class showed no significant difference from the unit test in the control class, and we believe that's because the students got caught up in the experience and failed to grasp the overall purpose of the experience, and they were caught up in programming the robots, and they weren't thinking about what they were actually seeing. And despite the interest of males in robotics at high school, there was no additional benefit to males, and so we were pleased to see that both males and females were able to benefit from this experience. We were limited in this particular project in that we were only able to do 3 units. These units were chosen because they were the most difficult ones for the students to understand. in the future, it might be helpful if students, if other units were chosen and that the new tracks could be developed and we could determine whether these are beneficial in other, helping students understand other complex course concepts. We attempted to do some qualitative research with this process, with this project, but we were only able to do a very limited amount of qualitative interviews with the students. The reflective condition closed right as the pandemic began. And so, despite numerous attempts to ask students to participate in an interview, we were unable to attract more than just 1 or 2 students to participate in an interview. So it would be useful to go back and to interview more students about their perception of the experience. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. My email address is mary.green@tmook.edu, or you can email Dr. Galloway at cynthia.galloway@tmook.edu. And here are my references. Thank you very much for your attention. We appreciate your being here today, and we hope you have much success with any project that you do with Ozobots.